any given player will play this move, which is queen cross d5. Well, against this we will play knight to f3. Again, let me reveal the plan, which is pretty much similar to our main plan, except this time white has a good advantage because this time we will attack the queen. So let's see our plan. So what white is aiming for again is bishop to e2, followed by the castle on the king side, then play d4 and then play c4, which has a merit of attacking the queen. And let's say queen goes to the a5, then again we can put our bishop either on e3, f4 or g5 depending on the circumstances. Please note the most active square for this bishop is f4, and afterwards we'll play knight to c3 or knight to d2 depending on the circumstances. Again, the most active square is knight to c3, and again the plan is very simple. What we want to do is to play a3, b4, gaining space on the queen side. So that is one plan, and the second plan is you want to play queen to d2, and again those two rooks can join either on c1, d1 and e1. And again you can see this is pretty much similar which we have played against the knight to f6. So now let's see some of the aggressive reply by the black which can disturb this plan. Now before we look at them, some of you may ask, why not knight to c3 at this point? Now the problem with the knight to c3 move is, yes, it's okay that right now you are getting time on the queen, but once the queen move, you have blocked your c pawn, and somewhere down the line that can prove very crucial. So that's why I will not recommend knight to c3. The most dangerous line which has recommended by ECO, which runs like this. So after we play knight to f3, black will pin that knight with bishop to g4, and here we have to play bishop to e2. Afterwards black will play knight to c6. Here I recommend that you do not afraid and play the move d4, and after very natural looking queen side castling by the black, which at first sight looks very threatening to that pawn, you just play bishop to e3. So you completely avoiding the castle at this point and carried out your piece development. Here black has a two main move which I have highlighted by the arrows, which are e5 and knight to f6. But against this, white's plan of campaign is pretty much consistent. So let's see each by turn. So the first move is the very aggressive looking e5, and here I recommend you should play the immediate c4, which has a merit of attacking the queen. So black doesn't have time to capture the pawn, and the most logical reply looks like queen to a5 check. Afterwards we'll play bishop to d2. In one of my game, my opponent responded here with bishop to b4. Now instead of bishop to b4, if black plays queen to b6, then there is a nasty trap exists in this line. What white is going to do is to play c5, attacking the queen, and the queen has only place left, which is queen cross b2. Afterwards white will simply play bishop to c3, and that queen is a goner. So there is a cute trap exists in this line. You should always watch out for this. That's why at this point queen to b6 is not at all good. So in one of my game, my opponent responded with bishop to b4, and I played d4. You should always look out for this advance in queen to d5 line. So that's my recommendation, that whenever you get a time, you should always play d5 at the right moment. In this game, my opponent responded with capturing my knight, and after I recaptured, he played knight to d4, attacking the bishop. Nevertheless, I played knight to c3, carried out my normal piece development, and now he played f5, which looks very threatening because now he's trying to push that e pawn, but I responded very energetically. So first of all, I hit that bishop with the move a3, and after bishop captures, you can see that bishop is attacking two piece. So my opponent has to forcefully play queen to b6. Afterwards, I simply castle on the king side. And now my opponent cannot push forward with the move e5, otherwise the knight will hang. So instead of this, my opponent decided to carry out his final piece development with knight to f6. And here I start my counter attack with the move b4. So now the idea is very simple. I want to play the c5, and probably my opponent thought that he can easily handle this, and he just carried out his aggressiveness with the move g5. So now the planning is very simple. He wants to play the move g4, but he did not calculate accurately, and here I played c5 attacking the queen, and after queen goes to the a6, so that was his calculations. But afterwards the very simple will be bishop cross knight, and after pawn recapture, now white can play this bishop to e2. And now you can see this queen doesn't have any squares, so my opponent has to forcefully weaken his king. So he played b5. Probably he thought that I will take with en passant, and that way his position will be good. But instead of this, I played a very strong move, which is a4, and now that pawn will be a goner. So in the game, my opponent desperately played queen to b7, and after a cross b5, my opponent grabbed the d pawn with knight cross d5, which allows me to play this wonderful move, which is c6. And my opponent responded with queen to b6, which give me more time to that queen with rook to a6. And now please note, if the queen goes to the b8, then the very simple will be queen to a8, and the a pawn will be dropped as well as the game. So in the game, my opponent decided to counter this with knight to c3, but afterwards the game becomes very easy for me. So I first of all capture this queen, and after knight captures queen, I played rook to b7. My opponent plays knight to c3, but after rook cross a7, game is about to over. My opponent just lasts for few moves. So first of all, my opponent captured this piece, and after king to h1, my opponent plays king to b8, but after rook to a1, there is no way he can defend this mate threat, and my opponent resigned over here. So that is about e5. The second move, and somehow the most critical one at this point, is knight to f6. I will show you one of the very high level game which will show us how to go ahead from this position. So the game which I am going to show you is played by Morozevich, rated 2723, versus Ian Rogers, rated 2618, and this game was played in Bundesliga 1998. Here Morozevich responded with the move c4, immediately attacking the queen. And please note, if the queen goes to the a5, then the very simple will be knight to c3, and afterwards a3 and b4 will come in a flash. That's why in the game, Rogers decided to play active location for the queen, which is queen to h5. And now there are some tactics looming on the d4 pawn. So that's why here Morozevich responded with knight to d2, supporting his brother and also blocking the d file. So here Ian responded with the move e5, and Morozevich expanded with the move d5. As I told you, you should always look out at the right point to push that pawn to the d5, and that will give a tremendous space on the queen side. Now in this game, Rogers decided to gambit a pawn for a serious counter attack. So he played knight to d4. Afterwards, white will capture that knight, and after e cross d5, white simplified more material with bishop cross g4, and after knight cross g4, now white grabbed that pawn. So please note, right now white is a clear pawn up, but black's position is very aggressive. Also, black has stopped the white to castle on the king side. Here Roger continues with the bishop to b4, and now the rooks are coming into the picture. So Morozevich has to play very accurately, and he did. He responded with the move h3, so which has a merit of attacking the knight. And please note, if the rook check has been occurred, king can safely go to square f1. So in the game, Rogers decided to play bishop cross knight, but at this point the Morozevich played the strongest move of the game, which is king captures bishop, and after queen to g5 check, the king has gone to the very secure place, which is c3. Here Ian has to play very energetically, otherwise white will be a clear pawn up. Rogers responded with knight to e4, and Morozevich answered this move with queen to e2. And now at this point, Rogers decided that if he's going to play secure moves like rook to e8, then it will not turn out good for the black. So he sacrificed more material to gain initiative and get an advantage of the open king. So he sacrificed his knight, and after queen recaptures, now black responded with rook takes pawn. So now the idea is very simple. It's okay that black has sacrificed a material, but because the white king is exposed, black has a short-term advantages. And it is very instructive that how Morozevich has handled this position. First of all, Morozevich responded with rook to d1, and after rook to d8 by black, Morozevich simply responded with bishop to e3. So it has a merit of attacking the queen, and after queen to d4, white responded with king to c2. So now it's protecting everything, and now somehow black has to continue his initiative, otherwise black doesn't have any winning chances because white is a clear piece up. So in the game, Rogers decided to play b5, attacking the queen, but here Morozevich played an excellent intermediate move, which is rook cross d5, which has a counter attacking the black queen, and after rook takes, now white give this check. So queen to g4 check, and here Rogers again attacked the queen with the move f5, but afterwards the very simple will be queen to f4. So counter attacking the queen, and if the queen has been exchanged, then white is a clear piece up. So Rogers declined the queen exchange with the move queen to e6, but afterwards white played a very secure move, which is king to g1. And now if the king can reach to the a1 square, then not only white king is safe, but white is a clear piece up, and this kind of positions are very easy to play, especially if you are a grandmaster. So knowing all this, Rogers lash out with the move g5, but Morozevich simply captured that pawn, and after queen to e4 check, Morozevich simply played king to a1, and at this point Rogers resigned because there is not enough compensation for the piece. White has escaped from all the difficulties. So this game will give you a very good idea what are the plans and how to handle knight to f6 positions. I hope I have given enough information to make you comfortable against all the Scandinavian defense models. Please try it in your own game and you will see the amazing potential of this system. Thank you for watching my video, and feel free to comment on my video. I'll meet you soon. Bye.